Anxiety is one of the defining struggles of modern life. Even with technology, comfort, and constant connection, millions of people wake up with racing thoughts, tight chests, and a lingering sense that something is about to go wrong. Long before modern psychology, two powerful philosophical traditions explored the nature of fear, worry, and emotional suffering, Buddhism and Stoicism. Both developed practical systems to train the mind. Both promise inner stability. Both teach that peace does not depend on external circumstances. But when it comes to anxiety, which approach works better? To understand the difference, we first need to understand how each tradition defines the problem. In Buddhism, anxiety is closely connected to what the Buddha called dukkha, often translated as suffering, unsatisfactoriness, or stress. According to Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, anxiety arises from attachment, craving, and ignorance. We cling to outcomes. We cling to identity. We cling to permanence in a world that is constantly changing. When reality does not obey our expectations, fear and worry arise. Anxiety is not simply a chemical imbalance or a personality flaw, it is the natural result of grasping at things that are unstable. Stoicism, developed in ancient Greece and Rome by thinkers like Zeno of Citium, Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, approaches anxiety through a different but related lens. For Stoics, anxiety comes from misjudging what is within our control. We worry about reputation, wealth, other people's opinions, illness, and death, all things outside our power. Stoicism divides life into two categories, what we can control and what we cannot. Peace comes from focusing only on the former and accepting the latter. At first glance, the two systems seem almost identical. Both emphasize acceptance. Both emphasize inner discipline. Both encourage emotional resilience. But their methods and ultimate goals differ in subtle but important ways. Buddhism begins with awareness. Through mindfulness meditation, practitioners observe thoughts and emotions without identifying with them. When anxiety arises, the instruction is not to fight it, suppress it, or rationalize it, but to observe it. Notice the physical sensations. Notice the narrative in the mind. Notice how it changes moment by moment. This direct observation reveals a key insight: anxiety is impermanent. It arises, stays for a while, and passes away. When you see this clearly, you begin to loosen your identification with it. Instead of "I am anxious," the experience becomes "anxiety is present." Stoicism, on the other hand, engages anxiety through reason. Epictetus taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. If you are anxious about losing your job, the Stoic practice would ask, is losing your job within your control? No. Is your effort and integrity within your control? Yes. Therefore, focus on doing your duty well, and accept the rest. Anxiety is reduced not by observing it, but by correcting faulty thinking. This difference reveals a key contrast. Buddhism works from awareness to transformation. Stoicism works from rational analysis to emotional stability. In practical terms, imagine someone suffering from social anxiety. A Buddhist approach might involve mindful breathing, observing the sensations of fear, and investigating the attachment to self-image. Why is approval so important? Who is this self that must be protected? By seeing the self as a fluid process rather than a fixed entity, fear begins to lose its foundation. A Stoic approach would focus on reframing the situation. You cannot control whether people like you. You can control your actions and character. Therefore, act with virtue and accept whatever response comes. If someone judges you, that is their domain, not yours. Anxiety decreases because you withdraw your concern from uncontrollable outcomes. Both systems can be powerful, but they also differ in emotional tone. Buddhism emphasizes compassion, both for oneself and others. Anxiety is not a failure, it is part of the human condition. Through loving-kindness meditation, practitioners actively cultivate warmth toward their own suffering. This softens self-criticism, which often fuels anxiety. The anxious mind frequently says, "I shouldn't feel this way. Buddhism replies, it's okay. This is part of being human. Stoicism emphasizes strength and virtue. Anxiety is seen as the result of mistaken judgment. The remedy is disciplined thought and moral clarity. There is dignity in this approach. It builds courage. But for some people, especially those prone to self-criticism, Stoicism can feel harsh if misunderstood. If anxiety continues, one might think, I'm failing at being rational. Another difference lies in how each tradition treats uncertainty and death, two major sources of anxiety. Buddhism teaches impermanence as a fundamental truth. Everything changes. Everything passes. By meditating deeply on impermanence, fear of loss gradually weakens. Death is not an interruption of life but part of the natural process. Clinging creates fear, acceptance creates peace. Stoicism also confronts death directly. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that death is natural and inevitable. The Stoic practice of negative visualization, imagining the loss of possessions, status, or even loved ones, is meant to reduce shock and cultivate gratitude. By rehearsing worst-case scenarios mentally, anxiety loses its power. In modern psychological terms, both systems align with evidence-based practices. Buddhism parallels mindfulness-based stress reduction and acceptance therapies. Stoicism resembles cognitive behavioral therapy, where distorted thoughts are challenged and replaced with rational alternatives. So which is better for anxiety? The answer may depend on personality and temperament. It is also possible to combine both systems. Many modern practitioners use Stoic journaling in the morning and mindfulness meditation in the evening. One approach strengthens rational clarity, the other deepens awareness and compassion. Together, they address both the cognitive and experiential dimensions of anxiety. When comparing them, it is important to avoid turning the question into a competition. Both traditions arose in different cultural contexts but converge on a profound truth: anxiety is not caused by the world itself, but by our relationship to it. Change the relationship, and the suffering changes. That if your anxiety is driven by constant overthinking about future outcomes. Stoicism's emphasis on control and virtue may provide immediate grounding. If your anxiety feels like a persistent emotional storm that logic cannot calm, Buddhist mindfulness may help you sit in the storm without being overwhelmed. Ultimately, the most effective path may be the one you are willing to practice consistently. Neither Buddhism nor Stoicism works as mere intellectual knowledge. They require training. They require daily reflection. They require patience. Anxiety thrives in unconsciousness and resistance. Both traditions invite conscious engagement and acceptance. Stoicism says, focus on what you can control, and accept the rest. Buddhism says, observe all experiences without attachment. And see their impermanent nature. One builds strength through reason. The other cultivates freedom through insight. If we ask which is better for anxiety, the deeper answer might be this: the one that helps you loosen your grip on fear and live more fully in the present moment. Whether through the disciplined clarity of a Roman emperor reflecting in his journal, or the quiet awareness of a monk watching the breath rise and fall, the destination is similar: a mind that is steady, compassionate, and no longer enslaved by worry. In a world that constantly amplifies uncertainty, both Buddhism and Stoicism offer something rare: inner stability that does not depend on external conditions. And perhaps the greatest lesson they share is that anxiety is not an enemy to defeat, but a teacher pointing toward a wiser way of living. Thanks for watching. Our channel is new and needs your support. In our channel you can find many videos on the history and philosophical teachings of Buddhism. Please subscribe to our channel to support the teachings of Buddha on YouTube. You can download our app from Google Play. Get notifications, daily quotes from Buddha, guided meditation methods, articles about Buddhist wisdom and sutras from Pali Canon. Discover inner peace, cultivate mindfulness, and unlock the infinite wisdom of the Buddha with this app. Download link below.